Heyo, duckies and dice fiends, welcome on in. We have just all of the cool people here today. Hello, Matt. Hello, Rex. Hello, Lurking Rider. I don't think I missed anyone else, but I might have. If I missed you, now's the time to speak up. Welcome on in. Thank you for hanging out with us today. It is, as always, a delight to see you. I'm Kay, in case you didn't know that. This is David, in case you didn't know that. And this is the Tuesday Table Talk Show. Going on this week. Tomorrow, episode 8? Question mark? I think 8. I just wrote all the social copy for it. You'd think I'd remember. Episode 8 of the Emergency Power Podcast. Our homebrew Starfinder 1E podcast adventure is coming out at emergencypowerpodcast.com or wherever you get your pods. And then I have a busy weekend coming up, but none of that at least will be out in the wild where anyone can get to it anytime soon. So that's all that I've got. David, who the heck is you and what the heck is we doing here?
I am confident I am streaming Friday night because I'm pretty confident I have a thing on Saturday. I have to check in with everybody, but I got a thing on Saturday. And it's not like I'll be watching the foosball or anything. But hi, I am mad that I am still that football still has me in its clutches. But no, hi, I'm David. This is the chaotic, wholesome Tuesday talk show where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how to be less in the clutches of modern sports, how to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
And yes, for those of you following, I have finished editing Brian's episode. It is not yet up. Copy has currently been the death of me. So as soon as I get that copy written, I'll be able to put that up. I'm so sorry, Brian. I'm so sorry. We had such a great chat. Just my brain. The brain gremlins are just saying no. And I think everyone here knows what that's like. When the brain gremlins say no, you can't argue with them. But we'll get there. We will get there. Today, and this is actually a great little segue because I just had a last minute story thing pop up yesterday. We want to talk about how you show up to your TTRPG. And this is kind of focusing mostly on streaming, podcast, APs, that kind of thing. But, a lot of this will carry over to in-person stuff, just not all of it, if that makes sense. And a lot of this is going to be kind of stuff we talked about before. But the first thing, like David was like, you should talk about, cosplay. And y'all, let's talk about cosplay for the camera. Because cosplay for the camera is so radically different than cosplay in person. And now, first off, let me be very clear. You do not have to dress up or cosplay or any of that for a TTRPG. If that is a thing you want to do, again, I find it incredibly fun and it helps me get into character. But the last couple streams, just the way my life has been and the way my work schedule has been, I have not been able to turn myself green for Brandon for Weird Wild War. In fact, I broke one of Brandon's horns during the move, and I can't find my glue gun because I moved to fix it so I could even wear that.
So name a more iconic duo, Kay and a broken horned character.
I don't think I have any characters with broken horns. I have a tiefling who out there is completely removed. Roxy has a very slightly chipped tusk.
Two. Yeah, chipped tusk. Kinley occasionally doesn't have them unless in Feywild. But I thought they were like small, and then when they get into the...
Yeah, they're always small, but in the Feywild, Kinley has hooves. Alaria, thank you so much for the resub, 21 months. Also, for the record, it was not my idea that Kinley got more goat-y in the Feywild. That was all Stephanie the GM.
Who I need to message. I've been bad in my communication.
Hey, Lamia, welcome on in. So yes, we are talking about how you show up for a TTRPG session. This is especially kind of focused on streams and APs, but a lot of this will also carry over to some podcast stuff, but also a lot of this is going to be very simple for, like, there's going to be some very simple stuff that will also carry over to home games. Chip Tusk is a great pen name for a spicy romantasy author. That's got to be the name of one of the authors of one of Renala's books.
Yeah, I have a list.
We have one of the characters reads spicy romances. And yeah, that's excellent. Thank you. Yoink. So yes, cosplay for camera is very different for cosplay in person. And again, you do not have to dress up. Like, there is no Now, there might be some gigs where they're like, we are specifically looking for cosplayers. There might be some where it's like, we will pay you, but you have to cosplay. That is different from, hey, y'all, we're going to do a stream game. I choose to turn myself green for Brandon, right? Like, I choose, even Emergency Power Podcast, which there was no video component. It was all podcast audio. I had a little headpiece that I wore, a little crescent moon circlet thing that I wore to just kind of help myself. This is on, I am soul. So cosplay can be really great to help you kind of get into that, but it is not a requirement. And if it is a requirement and you are not being paid, and you are not being paid enough to cover the costs of your makeup / cosplay, then no, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. Those people are just jerks. If you want to, great. So,
And as an interjection, whether it be TTRPGs or dating or for job or for, there are people who are going to make unreasonable demands of you. And one of the most important life lessons you can learn is to tell them people no. God, I have been swearing too much in the past couple of days because I almost said a really bad word. But yeah, like, because I read, God, years ago now, there was an open casting call for a show, and it was paid, and they wanted people to travel to LA to record it in person, and it was like 10 episodes or something like that. And I found out from somebody, because it wasn't in the ad, but it was $50 a session. Which again, if you're like on Zoom and it's like a Saturday and you ain't got nothing, that's great. But you wanted people to travel to a location in a major city for $50 for a minimum 3 hours of work.
Yeah.
And
Still
then
below minimum wage.
do it 10 times? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
As chat fills with outrage. So yeah, most of the games I do are unpaid or for charity, right? But like, there's a couple where I get paid. There's a couple where it's been like, show up, play for 3 hours. You know, all we can offer you is $20. And I'm like, hey, that's $20 that I can use to pay someone to make graphics for my games, right? Like, that's great. Thank you. It is appreciated. Name a more iconic duo. Kay and roguish characters with hearts of gold and backstories dark enough that Liam O'Brien would want to take notes. How dare you come at me like this?
Right.
I did not consent to be perceived today. Hey, Zeal, welcome on in. So yeah, no, like, be upfront with people about what you can offer, what you can't offer. Because yeah, like, the number of people who are just like, the number of people who are so bigger channels, bigger names, I respect the heck out of, that I'm like, I can't offer you anything other than a good time. Do you want to show up? And the answer is yes, more often than not. And I've had people, say like, I would really like to, in order to do this, in order to commit to this, I'm gonna need X amount. Hey, Zykrem, I'm gonna need like this much a session, right? Can you guarantee me that? And I'm like, I cannot. I am so sorry. Thank you for even talking to me. Good luck. Let me know I can help you, right? I get it. That is not a problem. But if you are cosplaying for the camera, don't do what I did for a charity game and not test your makeup on camera like hours before, because I have a little navy blue tiefling covered in stars, and I had navy blue face paint, and I did my whole face up, and it looked great. And then I got in front of the camera, and it looked like blackface. It was really not good. So then I'm, of course, panic taking all of this makeup off. It is not going to come off well enough. So I find a blue. Yeah, it was very bad. I find a different color blue, do that over. So at least, you know, all the creases around the eyes and such. Yeah, it was real bad. I was like, And like, even, that was the first stream I had with Brian. And Brian was like, it was a little terrifying. And I'm like, it was. It's better than it could have been, because yikes, did it look like blackface. And at one point,
there are people out there who would look like that, and they're like, it's fine. Those people are incorrect. They are wrong.
Yeah. Like, I would have just scrapped the whole thing if I had enough time, but it was like, I don't have time to get all of this really thick, dark navy blue makeup off. So I have to do a different color of blue to just get through this. I was worried you painted your face green while also having a green screen. But this is even worse. Yeah, it was it was not good. It was an unhappy moment. But it worked out. It wasn't great, but it was better than it could have been. At one point, I was playing a raccoon, and I had done a whole bunch of makeup to like have, you know, I had the dark around the eyes, and then I had, you know, the white and the gray. And then I get in front of the camera. You can't see the difference between the white and the gray. There is no difference on camera. There are a lot of props that like are cheap looking in person, but on camera they look amazing. So like anything you're thinking of doing, just get in front of a camera, turn on your lights, and just see how it looks, because the difference is this shirt is like denim blue, and a lot of times my blue and green shirts on camera end up looking like gray. So you know, just check those things. I'm glad you're able to differentiate it. Yes.
If you do like freckles or any of like finer work like that, also keep in mind not just how it looks on camera, but also how much real estate you have on screen. Because I remember, I forget for which character, but Kay did these really cool like star freckles. There's a word for them.
That was that one. That was the
right. And did not come up on
Kato. Appreciate you,
Mr. Kato. But didn't come up on screen at all. Like you just could not tell.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a lot of fine work. That was.
Yeah. So like when I do Kinley with their freckles, I get like the big chonky glitter, you know, the glitter where each one's like this. That's what I do for Kinley's white freckles. And then when I did Burton, like I get the thick eyeliner. Y'all know the thick eyeliner? It's the thick eyeliner and a twist, right? Because that's the only way they actually show up. So you see me off camera and I look ridiculous, but that's the only way it shows up on camera. So again, that is anyone who tells you it is required and is not paying you enough money to cover those costs. It is not required. If they say it's required and they don't pay you enough, it's not required. They're wrong. Walk away. If wanted to pass K for going through something that current K has managed to convert into a teachable moment. Yeah, look, I mean, one of the things you learn to do really well as either a community manager, a streamer, or a dungeon master is improvise, pivot, and keep going. And if you are unable to like react, pivot, and figure out a new approach in the moment, you're gonna have a really hard time being any of those three things. Makeup, you were going on stage, so the people in the back were gonna see it. Exactly. Because, yeah, your odds are, especially like, I have opinions about overlays. I don't hold most people to my opinions about overlays.
Have opinions about overlays.
But my thing is, I want, like, obviously you want an overlay to look nice, but for me, people are coming here to watch the people playing, so I want to make the space that those people have as big as possible. Big shapes, bold colors. Exactly. Way different than regular makeup. And like if I'm doing a more masculine character, I've got the really sharp brown shadow under here to really give me cheekbones and square out my face, even though it's already getting pretty square. Like, you got to think about that stuff. If you do the real subtle, it doesn't show up. It just does not. And like I said, if you have the time, if you have the luxury, because it is a luxury, it is a privilege, but if you have the time to sit down and kind of do even just a patch of your face or try out a little bit of it and then get on camera, look at yourself in there, maybe hit record, and then email that to yourself, watch it on your phone, watch it on a smaller screen, see what are most people going to see, and is it even worth doing some of that? Because I've sunk a lot of time into makeup that really didn't matter. Indeed, ring lighting, camera tech, color correction, etc. A multitude of things can affect how something will look compared to in-person / off-camera. Yeah. A non-TTRPG related thing. One of my friends was getting into cosplay, and she wanted to do Water Temple Link. And she had the little tunic and the hat, and that was super easy, but she was trying to build the shield. And she was building the shield out of foam, craft foam. And was like, she's like, it looks good, but like, I can't figure out how to make the rivets. And I'm like, I can tell you how to make the rivets. She's like, oh, I'm like, no, it will look amazing on camera. It's going to be goofy AF in person. Right? And she's like, yeah, tell me. Googly eyes. You hot glue googly eyes on and then you paint over them. So it looks amazing, but anytime she moves the shield, you hear all the googly eyes moving. So,
That's brilliant.
Yeah. I was real proud of that. And it looks amazing. Remind me at some point, David, and I'll pull up the photo so you can see it. Yeah. I don't know that I have the shield. I know I have at least our faces together. That was the time I went as Blink from Days of Future Past, and people couldn't figure out what I was, and I got asked if I was sexy gender bent Ganon. And I'm like, you know what? Close enough. You know what?
That's dark.
Audio is off. Audio is off. Okay, I'm talking. David, say a thing.
I'm saying a thing. It might be me.
Well, I've just upped your audio a little bit. I hope that makes it better. Not gender bent Gambit, gender bent Ganondorf. Because they were trying to relate me to Link. Oh, Nick's audio. Thank you. Apologies. I read that wrong and went, oh no. Are you coming up, or are you just going to sit back there being grumpy? Oh. I don't know if anyone saw that. He started to go, somehow tripped himself, went straight forward, ass up in the air, still on the top, and started scratching the post. Like, I meant to do that. I meant to do that. And here's, so while we're on this topic, and I'm also going to, this is a very slight detour, but again, I do think if you want to be on streams regularly, like invited to streams, there are certain things you should do, ways to show up, etc., etc. There are certain things you should not, and you should not be required to do. Like I was saying, I am really big into make the windows as big as you can make them so that people can see your performers, because that's who they're here to see. I know someone. No, you are great, Nick. I misunderstood. Ugh. I was also being badgered by a cat and trying to keep my train of thought, and we know how excellent everyone on this stream is at keeping a train of thought. So I had I had a friend who was on a stream and was told, like, they were required to have a green screen, be it a virtual green screen or real green screen. They just had to have a green screen, which, again, they weren't being paid, but, okay, I guess I can understand, there was a vision for the overlay. They were also told they had to stay within, like, a very particular narrow space, and they were told they were not allowed to, like, fidget. They weren't allowed to lean back or forward after that position was locked in. No, you need to be able, especially, and this person also had, some physical things where sitting still for a long time was not good for them. They needed to move around. Right. You have to, if someone tells you no, you have to be, no. Again, this is your call, but if they are not paying you enough to make not fidgeting and not moving and having perfect posture worth your time, no. And you have to decide what that number is. I'm not going to tell you.
Look, you're going to need a comma in that number to get me to do that. And
Right.
Here's the thing. Kay got me into watching true crime. So I have watched a lot of true, and I have a whole rant about it, which I will not go into here. However, after having watched a bunch of true crime, if you are somewhere on camera and you are sitting perfectly still, I don't trust you. And I'm not going to call the cops on you. But when the cops come and ask me about you, I'm going to be like, listen, I don't talk to the cops about anything or anyone, but I don't know, maybe check his backyard.
Stop snitching.
That's all I'm going to say.
Grandpa, stop snitching.
Yes. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
So that is kind of that's my kind of opening rant about, like, and that's the big thing, because when most people talk, hear about this, it's like, oh, to get on this AP, I need to, like, dress up. No, you don't have to unless they're paying you, and dressing up is a requirement, and they're paying you enough to make that worth your while, right? Those are the only things, and that's a lot of stipulations, right? I do not have a train of thought. I have a top-loading washing machine full of Super Balls, and the lid does not close. That's fair. However, with that said, there are a couple things about how, when, and where to show up that can help. Now, look, I have a really cool background. I do. I'm proud of it. I get comments on my background in streams, in job interviews, in meetings at jobs I have. I have derailed. I'm going to say this carefully, because you all know how long I've had this background, so this can extend over a number of jobs, so I'm not really saying anything particular, right? But I have derailed an entire meeting with WWE people because of my background. There was a time we stayed on 10 minutes after to talk about some of the items back there. You don't have to have this. And like I said, a bunch of places even want a green screen, as opposed to if I ever get into the thing again, that situation, I'm going to install a curtain rod on my ceiling and get a green screen with the what are they called? The metal rings. So you don't need it just starts with a D, I think. I just did that motion on camera that I should not have done.
Right. Like, I'm trying to think of what you're asking me, and also trying not to react to what you were doing.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll get a green screen with those storage unit chic. Exactly. Like, so I can pull it out, and then when I'm not using it, just push it back out of the way. Well, so there's curtains that have curtain rings built into them, right? There's a metal loop, and it's called, I think it starts with a D. It's not a rivet. It's not a Donald. Anyhow. I want to get one of those so I can just shoot. Grommet! Didn't start with a D. Grommet, you are correct. It was killing me.
I would have never. You would, if you give me a week, I wouldn't have come up with that. Where's Wallace when you need him?
There's also folding paper dividers. You know, a lot of people now, they're not even that expensive. You can get these. So one thing I'm going to say, especially if you're trying to make a really good impression, right? Because sometimes you show up and you don't, you know, I'm doing this as a favor. I'm doing this for charity. I know I'm not going to have a great time. But like, if you want to make a good impression, make your bed if your bed's in the background. Don't have a pile of laundry. Turn on a virtual cam or a background blur thing so people won't see that. Lurky Red has it. Your cats love green screen. Look, yeah. Or you can hide your wall of stuff with an accordion collection. No one ever asks why you have 10 accordions. I would ask why you have 10 accordions.
I would absolutely ask you why you had so many goddamn accordions. But years ago now, someone we knew was on a stream, and I tune in because I'm bad about tuning into everyone's streams when they're on, because like I can only be in front of the computer paying attention to Twitch so many hours in a day. Especially now. But it was one of the times where I was like, I will check out this game they're playing. And one of the other players, it looked like their house was on Tornado Alley and had been hit by a tornado. Because it was their bedroom. And they're like the bed had just a bunch of what looked like dirty clothes on it. And then there were like plastic bags all over the room and like a pizza box and like a bunch of other shit. And I'm like, listen, live your life the way that you want to live your life. I had trouble bending over and picking up stuff off of the ground for 6 months. It was a struggle to get out of bed. So did my room get a little dirty? Absolutely. However, I didn't sit here and press go live on OBS and then showed you empty pizza boxes. Like even before I have like, you know, my toddler chic background that I have now, it was just plain background. And I'm not going to judge people for like having their bed in frame because sometimes like you have it's very hard to have an ideal living situation. Like
Especially in this
sometimes you
economy.
just right. Like sometimes you're just streaming from your bedroom. Sometimes you're recording audio in your closet. If you're lucky enough to have a closet that big, because I do not have a closet that fits all this in there. Okay, if you're doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, then yeah, the empty pizza box. But in this particular case, it was not the mood.
And like,
But
oh, go ahead.
So like the very like basics, just there's a streamer that used a dead creature in his room as an alarm. Don't be that guy. Like if someone's going to invite you to a game and you show up looking like that, you'll probably get through the game. They probably won't ask you back. And then people, because here's the thing, everyone or almost everyone in the TTRPG space watches other TTRPGs. Like I feel like I watch fewer than I should be watching. And I obviously check out other people when they're streaming. So even if I haven't talked to you, I know who you are. I've seen you do your thing. I've heard you speak. I know if you're any good for like dozens and dozens of people. But yeah, like that impression matters.
Yeah. And it's like, I think as most of y'all know, I used to do video games journalism. And I would be prepping young writers for their first, you know, assignments, and be it a presser, be it E3, like I had to very specifically say, like, wear deodorant, bring shirts that don't have holes in them. And you know, in this space, and look, I am very lucky that I am conventionally attractive. right? I'm not going to say I'm hot. I'm not going to say that, but I am conventionally attractive.
I will.
People generally enjoy looking at me. I don't hop on stream without doing at least a little bit of maintenance. You don't have to be conventionally attractive, but, you know, check in the mirror, see if you've got food on your face. I've had people show up with food on their face or in their beard, right? And it's just like, you're on a Zoom call. You can see yourself.
And to reiterate, while I have played in games, I would not necessarily call myself a TTRPG performer or player, because like I've done a couple, and realistically, I was a professional actor before any of y'all motherfuckers. I got my first acting gig that paid cash money at 5 years old. It was a long time ago. But you know, I look like this with a plain background and I get invited to games. And to be clear, if you want to play, you have to reach out to people, let them know that you're available, apply to games. Kay has applied to 10 times more games than they've actually played in. But you don't have to be, you know, Halle Berry on a yacht in order to be a player in a game.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to dress up, you don't have to do makeup, you don't have to, but also a modicum of professionalism, he says, while wearing a Winnie the Pooh t-shirt. But a modicum of professionalism, I want to say it should be expected, but you should at least endeavor to present that, because this is who you are out in the TTRPG world.
Yeah. For a lot of people, this is going to be the first and probably only time they're going to see you, especially if it's like a charity game that you're doing on someone else's channel, right? And again, this is not said in any way, shape, or form to try to shame anyone for their appearance, for their living situation, but like, I have 100% been in a situation where it's like, I'm going to go live, push the laundry pile out of frame. Right? Just, I always like to tell, and I've said this to Kato too. Kato is very good at this. Like, especially when I was doing games journalism, part of the reason I got invited to so many pressers and so many things was I was always the best dressed person in the room by like that much. Because if it's too much, then you're trying too hard, right? Then you accidentally, you try to turn yourself blue and you look like you're on blackface. Then you have to panic and try to fix all of that. It's still not great, right? But the number of people who would show up to press events, to first looks, to interview developers in literal pajamas was truthfully astounding to me. And again, you know, there are, if it's you and your 5 best friends and you are just hitting go live, doing absolutely nothing different from what you'd be doing in your basement, you know, anyway, you really don't care. Fine, cool, do, you know, but if you are doing these things in hopes of getting to work with other people and to get attention and to gain a reputation and to, you got to do a little bit of professionalism, right?
I remember there was a major game company that had a game that was they were doing an event where they were announcing a big update, and at the time, concurrent 80,000 players on Steam, like a significant player base. And I'm watching it, and I have it on one screen, and I'm talking to Kay because we had a work thing. And I'm like, Kay, hit screenshot, send it to Kay. Had 2 community managers, both women, and they were dressed to the nines. One of them had like a full dress on, and like opera gloves, both of them wearing heels. And then the president of the company, one of the CEOs, and like a couple of the senior devs all came out. And precisely one of those motherfuckers was not wearing sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt. And the one who wasn't was wearing sneakers, jeans, t-shirt, and a sports coat. And when I tell you, having been to a party in Silicon Valley with incredibly wealthy developers, they were better dressed. They actually put on clothes like they were going to be on camera. And again, and they weren't even wearing like t-shirts from their company. It was just random ass t-shirt. And it's just like, bro, go in the back and grab a double XL with your game company on it. It's right there.
I mean, when I say I was the best dressed person in the room by this much, I was in sneakers, nice jeans, a nerdy t-shirt, and a nice coat, a nice little jacket, a nice little shrug on thing. And people remembered me as being well dressed.
Kay dressed nicer to come see me in the hospital than Kay dressed to go to professional gaming events.
So, and I also want to address, because there is a thing here. There is a thing that happens where there are complaints, not just about TTRPG streamers, about women streamers in general, about, oh, booby streamers, women are only, these women are only streaming for blah, 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 simply because they've made an effort to look decent. Mm-hmm. And there is a very unfair imbalance of often guys in the space are allowed to show up ungroomed, unmade bed in the background, piles of laundry, whereas women are held to a higher standard. And that is some bullshit. So gentlemen, and I know I'm preaching at the choir with people who normally hang out here, but if you've somehow come across this video, gentlemen, I challenge you. You don't have to do full makeup, but make at least a little bit of the same kind of effort you would see one of the ladies or femme streamers. And just see how that treats you. Just see.
Yeah.
I'm not going to not address that imbalance there.
I was really pissed because I spent some of the paltry few dollars I had before I went to PAX getting dress shirts. And I bought them, and I didn't think they were going to arrive in time. They arrived the day of. So I grabbed the package, unopened, put it in my bag, left. Friday morning, I open one up, and I try to put it on, and it doesn't fit. I brought 3 dress shirts and 5 ties because, and it was true, there was precisely no one at PAX that was wearing a dress shirt and a tie. And I didn't have like dress shoes or anything like that. I wasn't going to go like full on. Like, okay, when I hit the lottery, I won't say anything, but there will be signs. Because just like Kay was talking about like the overdressed person at a gaming event, if you see me with a top hat and a cane and like a 3-piece handmade suit, why, yes, I can lend you $20. But like,
it says we need male streamers to have the American being shamed by an Italian man about their fashion choices experience.
Look, one of my great regrets in my life is I've never had the money to dress the way that I want to, because the way some of these men be out here in the streets. Ooh. But yeah.
Lamia says, liar. I wear a shirt and tie adjacent accessory one day.
Fair.
Dr. B definitely dresses immaculately.
But yeah, like, and here's the thing. It's not fair, but it's much easier for a man to dress nicely than for a woman or a femme presenting person. Because it's like button up, pants that aren't jeans. The end. And there are tons of extrapolations on top of that, even though women have more. But just a button-up shirt and a pair of pants that aren't jeans with a belt, or if you got no ass, suspenders, then you're immediately leagues above. Look, I went to go see a Marvel movie. I believe it was the first of the Endgame ones. And I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And I had my hair and flip-flops. And for those of you who are old enough to have seen Simpsons, even though Simpsons is currently running, I don't know anybody under 30 who actually watches Simpsons. But I showed up and I saw a gaggle of dudes who looked like they were cosplaying as comic book guy from The Simpsons. And then I looked at them and then I looked down at myself and I was like, never again. Never again will I step outside dressed like comic book guy from The Simpsons. I was mortified. I was embarrassed. I wanted to dig a hole and cry. And since then, I have not and will not. But don't go outside dressed like comic book guy. Please stop. And if you see somebody who looks like you, who is also dressed like comic book guy, tell him to go home and change. Put on a kilt, something, anything.
Yes, Zeal, I have worn dark navy jeans to an event, and everyone's been like, yep, those are those count. 37 seasons of The Simpsons.
Jesus,
so many.
That's so many.
There were things further up that I was going to reply to, but now Gilmore has made that not possible. Because he requires, there is so much going on with Gilmore right now.
Wow.
There's so much going on with Gilmore right now. The flop is epic.
Yeah, even like a button up that's open with like a cool nerd shirt underneath, just like something.
Yeah.
Stop with the cargo shorts and the obscure video game t-shirt.
Hey, Curtis.
And look, at least we don't have dudes walking around in the Dragon Ball Z Hawaiian shirts. I remember that 2-year stretch, and boy howdy, I can still smell those guys.
Oh, there was an era where all the dudes were doing they were doing a sport coat, but it was the hentai sport coat.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I hated
Don't
that
miss
so
that.
much.
Don't miss that at all. Get my black t-shirt and metal studded wristbands, and they're full on roadie. Exactly. So yeah, just again, it's not about shaming anyone for their situation, their whatever, but make an effort. If all you've got, is a t-shirt, we get it, but just do what you can, make sure you've showered, make sure you've put on deodorant. Again, that matters. The deodorant matters less on a stream, an AP, where it's over the internet, but we can, if you have not trained your hair to not have to be washed, we can see the greasy hair, right?
Right. And if you have the money for every new Magic the Gathering release, you have the money for a button-up. And I say this as somebody who wore the same button-up to every function for 2 years straight, to the point whereby it was known that if you invited David was showing up in the purple party shirt because it was known as the purple party shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Whenever I put it on, it was always clean, fresh out of laundry. And it wasn't super wrinkled, but I'm also warm, and so I steam my clothes on my body. But the point is, no one ever went, oh man, David's wearing that same shirt. Everybody went, oh, David's in party mode because he got purple party shirt. Just get yourself the purple party shirt, okay?
And again, I have definitely streamed out of a 1-bedroom where stuff was pointed every which way. There is no shame of not having a fancy backdrop. There is no shame in having, as David had for quite a while, just a blank white wall behind you. There is no shame for my camera is pointing into my room. I do not judge anyone for that. But again, maybe push the dirty laundry pile. I'm not even going to judge you for having dirty laundry, because laundry's a plague. How are we supposed to go to work, do laundry, and adult all this while everything in the world is happening right now? No. No tea, no shame. It is hard enough to just exist. But again, maybe nudge it just out of frame. Maybe, buy a collapsing, like a room divider or something. So you could just, like, again, I had a curtain that I could just shunk. I had a pop-up green screen. What show was that? There was some show where they were getting competitive, right? And it was like during COVID. It was one of those COVID streams where they used to do it in person, and then COVID hit, so they were doing it remotely over Zoom, and they were getting heated about something, and just out of nowhere, they were saying, I don't know, it's like, okay, we're gonna go to break. And then out of nowhere, one of the dudes' green screen just collapsed, because it was one of those like chunk ones, just collapsed, and all of a sudden the entire room is behind him. And they're like, "Yep, time to go to break. See you after break." Yeah, fabric works wonders. If you are not like me, and you are a normal person who uses a chair, you can even buy like mini green screens that strap to the back of your chair, right? So you could just be floating. And again, if you can't afford that, no problem. Just kick all the laundry in the closet and close the door. Like,
Look, in the days before Zoom, I had a client that was English speaking in Spain. And I would get on a Skype call with them at 3:00 in the morning. And there was a burger place that delivered, I want to say until 4. So I, after all the things I had to do during the day, would be too tired to both do the meeting and make myself something to eat. So I would order burger delivery. And so about half of the time that I had a meeting with this client, I would be covered in burger grease, ball up the thing, throw it right here, just off camera, wipe my hands, wipe my face, and then press answer on the Skype call. And like, sometimes it was just half a burger sitting there with some fries and a big old, but it was always right here where he couldn't see it. As far as he knows, I never ate food. Not once. I was just a floating head in space.
As Rex said.
And I'm not saying don't be clean, but I'm saying, but like, just, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort.
Yeah. And again, it is in no way about shaming. It is in no way about trying to, but there's just a basic professionalism. And again, especially if it's you and your 5 buddies and they know how you live and you're just putting this out there for giggles and you're not doing any promotion, cool. Really, genuinely, you don't have to care. See? You can just be in front of the Aurora Borealis. Yeah, it really doesn't like black hair.
That's fine.
But like, it's about professionalism. Speaking of about professionalism, this is also true. This is true for APs. This also applies very, very nicely to podcasts, but also to just home games over Zoom or Discord or whatever you do. Y'all, mic discipline. And I'm not even talking about, I'm going to yell so I'm leaning away from the mic so I don't blow you all out, right? That is a form of mic discipline. I'm not even talking about that. I was in a game. I was supposed to be in a game that I ended up dropping out of because there were enough red flags from one person and the GM was not going to rein this one person in. I had red flags about this person before the session 0 even started. Because we're sitting there waiting for people to show up and all I hear is and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, And so then the GM's like, okay, like session 0 is starting. Okay, hey. And then and he's like, hey, so and so, we're getting a lot of noise off your mic. And he's like, yeah, I'm eating. My man's is just digging in that bag of chips, crunching right into the mic. And look, I don't care if you eat on camera. I eat on camera in front of David all the time. David occasionally eats on camera in front of me. I don't care if you have a little, but oh my goodness, know how to use the mute button. And I can get the this is a me. This is on no one but me, right? This is a me thing. Yes, Mike Discipline is so that would be a really good romantasy author name.
I've already recorded.
I had a player do that in a home game. He left the campaign shortly thereafter. Right, like like if we're talking and you accidentally burp into the mic once, shit happens, right? If we're playing a scene and it's a big raunchy and we're at the bar and everyone's getting drunk and you do a fake or even a real burp into the mic to like bring that point home, it's not my favorite thing, but it's fine. I'm not here, you know. But if it's just a constant, if you know it's coming and someone is delivering an important line or describing what they're going to do in combat and you don't mute, that's heckin' rude. Be considerate to other people's eardrums. The one thing I'm like, there are lots of people who are great. They have wonderful discipline and they put their phone on silent or airplane or on silent, but they leave it buzzing and then they sit it right next to their mic. So every time it buzzes, you hear bzzz, and I'm like, can you please just put it just on the other side of the desk? Like everyone can hear it.
We had someone. No, it wasn't with you. It was I was on with someone else running a module, and one of the players had their Discord notifications that played somehow played in like the chat in the stream. I think they were streaming something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the point is, not only did we hear every bloop from Discord, we also heard their phone vibrate with the notification of it every single time. And they were having this whole ass conversation with someone while other people were on camera, like trying to do a thing. And I was just like, like, really?
Yeah, Lurking Rider says, follow on. Remember when to unmute. You don't want to soliloquy to the camera only to look for reactions, and the chat is filled with unmute. Yeah, then again, doing soliloquy when only you can hear it might be the most appropriate time. Yeah, like, I remember someone had muted, like, we were all talking, we were having a great time, and then someone, like, I kind of saw them, like, look sad. And I'm like, hey, so-and-so, are you okay? And they're like, it's like you're on mute. They're like, unmutes. I was wondering why everyone was ignoring me and speaking over me. Yeah, just have a phone charging cable near your mic or audio cables. Yeah, that can also be a problem. But it's like, there's also someone who I know who, they have a small desk. I don't blame them. But they keep their dice box right next to their microphone. And look, I love the sound. That sound of a dice when the GM has a fistful of dice and shake them and you hear it pour out and you know all that damage is coming your way. It's very different when it's bam right by the microphone. Because then it goes from, oh, someone's rolling. Oh, I wonder if that was good or bad, to so, you know, that is partially professionalism and partially just respect for other people in my book. And, you know, maybe you're unaware. But yeah, when someone goes like, hey, we're getting a lot of noise. Yeah, I'm eating. As David would say,
listen,
come on, meow.
Right, come on, meow. But, and also, if you're going to get into an argument with your significant other, you have two options. you can either mute yourself or you can expect me to provide running commentary. And it wasn't a TTRPG thing. I was in actually I was in a group with randos, but I was playing a team game, and all my teammates were in chat, and one woman was yelling at her man, just like full on tearing into him. And the whole time, so for what, everybody's aghast. And then like the team chat starts popping up. We're like, is this really happening? What, like, and I was just like, yeah, get him. And what about that thing that you forgot that he did? And they're like, why are you encouraging this? And I'm like, listen, they had two options: mute, or they get to hear what I have to say about it.
Looking right, it says, as a GM, the sound of those math rocks going clack, clack, thunk, and the panicked expressions of players is a series is dopamine hit. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, when it's especially one person who does this likes to kind of throw their dice up, like they don't roll it, they kind of toss it so it goes up and then lets gravity, and that thunk is just, it's not the pleasing thunk. It's not the ASMR thunk. It's the
And also, if you ever get a hold of one of my like one of the creatures that I have created, it's probably doing multiple d6 damage, just because I know what it's like to sit at a table with people in person, and then 6d6, 8d6, 10d6 hit the table, and you have like the barbarian or paladin or fighter just wither when they hear that, and you're like, yes, it's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. Brace yourself.
I had to I mentioned brain raccoons. Brain chemistry has not been happy. The world is terrible. Why should it be? I needed entertainment that was not new, but that was also entertaining, right? I needed something to I just binged all of Crown of Candy again, and then turned around and binged Calamity. And what do those two things have in common? Well, not just Brennan Lee Mulligan as the GM, and not just Lou Wilson, who's fucking brilliant, but fistfuls of dice. Fistfuls of the GM. Rolls, does math, scoops them back up, does it again, does more math. And it's just like those high-level campaigns just get so... basically, as with doing makeup tests, also do a mic-up test. Yeah, like, by and large, it's not going to be a problem. But, like, I wouldn't even consider that terribly, like, you have to do a test on this kind of thing. But more like if someone... listen back, or if someone makes a comment, maybe, because like at one point someone did do that thunk where they clearly hit the side of their dice tray right next to the microphone, and I was like, and it was while someone else was talking, right? They were doing some roll while someone else was talking, and I just, in the private chat, because I didn't want to call this person out and embarrass them, I'm like, hey, as a heads up, like, we're getting some really strong thunks from you, because this is also just a person who lives in a house with someone else and just leaves their mic open. So we do get the occasional background conversation. It's not bad. It's not terrible, right? But, and then there was that. And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, my dice tray is right by my mic.
Then move it.
So yeah,
and
that's a little bit of...
We've said this before on stream, and I'm sure DC has said this multiple times, but if you are going to upgrade your streaming setup, an upgrade is your microphone.
Yes. Yeah. The number of people, it's like microphone, lighting, then camera. Because it doesn't matter if you have the best camera in the world. If your lighting sucks, your video is going to look like shit. It's just how it is. Getting your mic dialed is important, makes a big difference how you sound. Getting rid of background noise is important. Exactly. I love this. This is my Rode Podcaster. I love this microphone. It is excellent. It is so good for picking up my voice and nothing else. The problem is it is a very quiet microphone. I have my gain all the way to max. Before I moved, I had one of those little air boosters where I plugged it in, and so I didn't have to have my mic up quite as high. When I moved and plugged it in, it started making a noise. there was a hum that came through in any recording ever. Why? I don't know. Didn't do it before. I changed out all the cables. I did all sorts of A/B testing. No, the only thing that happened was it was that plug, and I knew it. You know, I knew it was a part of that. Yes, get those gains. I cranked up those gains. And now I don't have that because I don't want to have to be fighting that hum, and I don't want to have to make an audio editor clean my audio. So yeah, figuring out that mic, getting a mic where you can adjust the gain, because look, not everyone can afford the nice mic, and if you're just starting out and all you can do is get closer or further from the mic, well, we can fix it in post, right? But if you are spending the money to get a microphone, get one where you can adjust the gain, because it's going to make your life so much easier. Because like here for the talk show, when we have a guest, more than just David and I, my voice ends up on one track and everyone else's voice ends up on the other track. Now, I record the audio separately so that when this goes up to the VOD, I can adjust the audio for each person independently and make sure it all sounds good. But for the live, I have to make sure that David and our guest are at roughly the same volume so that y'all don't get blown out with one person while hardly being able to hear the other person. No audio pain, no gain. Get on my audio level. I love y'all. But again, that is kind of one of those upgrade things. Also, like, with audio is important. With actual plays, audio, I would argue, is more important than video, but it's also a little bit less important over, a Twitch live stream. However, for a podcast, if you want to be on an edited podcast, you're probably going to have to upgrade your mic. Your computer mic is not going to do it. Like, that is part of it, because if it's audio only, then the audio quality is all that matters. So that is a thing to keep in mind there. And I have touched on this before, but I just recently had incredibly good concrete proof, concrete reminder. About an hour before applications closed, I found and applied to an audio drama, an audio AP. And come to find out after the fact, like, I applied, David was like, I've applied to 10 times more things than I've been on. I am not going to get this. I am not going to be on this. But I applied anyway, because otherwise there's absolutely no way I'd get to be on it. Come to find out, they had just shy of 750 applicants.
Yo.
So, like, a lot of people applied. And they had a decently robust, it was not a throw in your name, throw in your social handle, okay, thanks, bye. Like, there was, walk me through your logic of making a character. What do you enjoy about, games? Kind of a decently in-depth thing. Clearly, the showrunners know what they want. Good for them. It was not overly taxing. I did not have to do a whole... I applied to a thing, and then I got the role, and then they just decided they weren't going to do the thing anymore, where I had to do an entire audition. I had to do a cut, an introduction, and then put together a reel. It was ridiculous. But one of the questions at the end, like, they went through all of this, and I've said this before, and I hate to say just, because showing up is a lot, right? Showing up, putting in the energy, learning the character, learning the system if you don't know the system, blocking that time out of your week is not nothing. But in a space where 750 people will apply to 4 spots on an AP, you kind of often have to do something more. And it very specifically in this one was like, hey, this is not a requirement, but do you have other talents that you could offer? Can you help with production? Can you do audio editing? Can you do marketing? Can you do, is any of this a thing that you are able to or are willing to do? That's what I've said before. If you can throw together graphics in Photopea, because we don't have to use Photoshop anymore, y'all, because Photopea exists and it's basically Photoshop in a browser, and you can subscribe for 3 months ad-free and support them, and they're great. If you can help with writing copy or scheduling social media posts, if you can do some, audio editing, some shorts for promotions, anything like that, it is going to help you stand out quite a lot, because again, it is a very full and very competitive market and field, and it's tough, especially if you don't know the people running it and they don't know you. It's going to come down to, okay, who has examples that we can see, who presents themselves professionally, and if it's between 3 or 4 good people who all seem to be at the same level, well, the person who can help post social or the person who can help edit audio in a pinch is probably going to get the role. It also shows that you are invested. Because I think we've all played with that person. And look, some people, this is not a diss on people who are deeply invested, but like only show up. They show up late to the game. There are people, like you had one of these players, David. They show up, they're late to the game every time, but they are super invested and plugged in when they're there. And then they go home and they never talk about it again, right? There are also people who roll up. They often have a little bit of main character syndrome. They're not really invested in anyone else. They kind of want to get through the story to the point where they, their character is back in the spotlight. We've all had those. I get excited when I get to play with the people who are dropping in memes when it's, game day, everyone's in there going soon, dropping all the soon gifts. And, it shows investment. It shows that you are interested in learning about the world, the other players, and that causes better table chemistry, which causes a better performance all around. So when it comes to professionalism and how do you I mean, a big part of that is just be interested.
Yeah, just pay attention. Because if I have to call on you and let you know that it's your turn for combat, it's not a good look.
Well,
not a good look.
Sometimes in combat too, it is lose track. You go super deep into but I'm also talking about care about characters that aren't you, that aren't yours.
But like, part of pulling your weight is knowing when it's your turn to participate, whether that be in role play or whether that be in an encounter.
Yeah.
Like, I expect you to scramble and go look at your character sheet when I'm like, hey, give me a blank check. But, give me a perception check. I don't expect you to know what bonuses or minuses you have off the top of your head. If we are in round 3 of combat and Kay goes before you, and Kay has gone before you twice, and you have your goddamn phone and you're just like, huh? Wait, is it my turn? Get out of here. Just get out. No, meet me on my front lawn. Bring a mouth guard and a lunch. You're gonna need both.
And like, look, combat can get long, and it can get, because even Matt Mercer and Brennan Lee Mulligan will be like, okay, it's so-and-so's turn, so-and-so, you're on deck, right? Just to make sure everyone's plugged in. But also, those are people who, they are not plugged in because they're on their phone. They are not plugged in because they are running scenarios in their head and running through all of the BS they could pull in their character sheets. And that's a different kind of, I do need a reminder. Or even worse, and I've had this happen, it's not even worse. It's wonderful in a terrible way. When you're like, okay, I'm up next. I know what I'm going to do. The person who went before me just changed everything about what's on the board, what happened. I have to rethink everything in 0.2 seconds.
But the point is, we can tell as players, as GM, as production staff, because like I've run production on a thing and I'm like, oh, so and so's just checked out. Like something's going on. But we can tell when you are interested and interesting versus you're just there taking up space.
Yeah.
And
Or you're just there for the spotlight.
right. And the reality is, for every person that you see on stream, including Kay and I, there are dozens of people who want to be doing what you are doing. So like you should honor the people that you're working with. You should honor yourself and your own reputation. You should honor your audience, but you should also honor all the people who are trying to do what you're doing. Like part of why we do this talk show is because we have had people come and say, hey, how do you do blank? Or, hey, I'm running my first game and I'm nervous about it. And we're like, don't worry, we got you.
Don't treat people as ladders. Exactly. And also, like, the asterisk to this is there are bad people. There are people who do bad things, and it should be known, right? But unless someone is causing actual harm, right? Like, there are people in this space that I just don't get along with, right? Like, there's no bad blood, there's no animosity. I don't hate them. Just we don't click. We don't have good chemistry. I don't find their playstyle particularly interesting. They don't find me particularly interesting. It's fine.
So they're
We
wrong.
just that's different from someone who does actual harm. And we all know the names we're thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't go check out Crispy's Tavern, there's a few good ones in there. Crispy's Tavern just did a whole retrospective on Satine Phoenix because she's trying to come back into the space. No. But outside of those situations, don't be a crab in a bucket.
Yeah.
Because crab in a bucket, if you don't know the thing, you have crabs in a bucket, and one crab starts to climb out. The other crabs will grab him and pull him back down. Right? If someone gets an opportunity, it is incredibly difficult to not compare yourself to other people. Especially in an age of social media, where we're curating what we're showing about our lives. It is normal to be like, dang, I wish I had that opportunity, or dang, I would love to do that someday. But don't be mad at the person, don't be salty at the person, and don't try to drag that person down. Because odds are, if they are a good person, and if you have cultivated your circle and your community and given back, that person is going to turn around and offer a hand, maybe not to you, but to someone. And that, if you are the crab trying to pull everyone down, you're not going to get that hand. Don't be a hater if there is not really freaking good reason to be a hater.
Now, I want to mention something while it is on my mind because I saw a TV show where it was happening. Wigs. One, to all of the costume designers and hair people in Hollywood, I'm gonna need y'all to stop giving these actors and actresses ugly ass wigs. Like it's time to stop. Like it is 2026. You can find decent wigs as a Hollywood person. Quit putting them in ugly wigs. That said, there is a saying amongst my community: hard wig, easy life. Where if you got just like an ugly ass wig on, a certain demographic of people will look at that and go, that's awesome. I want me some of that. But I say all that to say this. I have not had many conversations about wigs amongst cosplayers, but I have had some. And the reality is, especially for streaming, especially for TTRPGs, where your screen is going to be like EB. Get the cheap ass wig.
Mhm.
Get like the $20-$30 wig. Do not go all out and get that $600 wig unless you are a professional cosplayer and somebody's paying you to show up to a thing, or you're just really into it. But especially if you play like a lot of characters, like just get the cheap ass wig, because trust me, it will look better. Like when you look at the little Amazon package, or the Temu wig, you pull it out of the plastic bag and look at it and go, this is awful. It's gonna look way better on camera.
I'm going to
So
step
like,
in with a slight asterisk there. Yes, so as a person who has invested in a very long, very nice wig for cosplay that I did, they are so much more difficult to maintain than the cheap ass wig. I had to go out and buy like the spray hair oil for it because it was tangling even as I was trying to braid it. It was a nightmare to do. Yeah, I was the whitest person who ever asked them to unlock the cabinet so I could get that. Uh, the wigs that I've worn, cheap, 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 because I can keep them folded up. I could fold them in half, put them in a hairnet, and they're fine for freaking ages, right? This asterisk I'm gonna give. Do not get a wig with the hairline in front. This will always look terrible. Always get a wig with bangs. I've got my Kinley wig has curls. You can't see the hairline of it. When I did Sissy Joe, I got one that had, this kind of bang, and even that just hid the hairline. Do not, if you are going to get a wig that has a pulled back hair or a hairline or anything like that, you have to invest in a lace front or else it's gonna look bad. There is no two ways around that. So do not design a character where you have to have a wig where the entire hairline shows, or else you are not gonna have a good looking wig. So, slight asterisk is my new astral elf rogue. I love y'all. Only play bald characters. No wigs required. Yeah, like I have inexpensive wigs. I have definitely learned some very basic wig style. And here's the thing: if you get the cheap ones and it's the synthetic hair, it's super easy to restyle them because you could just do a brush and then a blow on a hairdryer very quickly will actually melt it slightly to make it stay in that position. Don't spend a whole lot on a wig for a webcam
yeah,
stream. It's not worth it, please. And that goes back to cosplay for the camera. Like, no, it's not going to look good in person. On the camera, it's going to look great. I bought a wig for Halloween. It was Garth from Wayne's World. The wig was awful, and I hated it. But at one of the early stops, I met someone dressed as Bob Ross, including a fake beard, and decided I could keep my costume for one day. Yeah, like, try it on, see it out, style it around. If you hate it, you hate it. Hey, DC, welcome on in. Plastic
speaking of
styling
hats, if
fumes,
you need
right?
hat advice,
You need hat
DC is a good
advice.
person to ask.
DC has. So,
Vulcan ears, you mean elf ears? But because again, it is not often, but the number of cosplayers I see cosplaying a Vulcan wearing elf ears, and I can't say anything because everyone already knows that I'm a turbo nerd, and I'm also not gonna I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum. I'm not gonna spoil anybody's good time. But boy, howdy, I know those are elf ears. I know they're not Vulcan ears. Okay, there's a difference. There is a difference.
but also, like, keep in mind, I I have several pairs of elf ears. They don't do me any good because I'm wearing these. Now, Ren Fair, they're great for Ren Fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you have, if you wear the little earbuds or in ear, and not the big over ear, like, yeah, even the, I don't want to turn around and dig for them, but now they have these really elf ears that kind of sit behind your ear. They hook. around through and stick out, and you can get them shorter and longer. And they're great, especially on the smaller thing, because there's not enough detail in that webcam image especially not if there's like 7 people on screen.
Right.
Be comfortable. Because as a person who has applied a horrendous amount of liquid latex and spirit gum to their body, don't do that if you don't have to. Design your character to incorporate your tech. Exactly. Had a coworker who had earbuds that had elf ears at the hook. Yes, I have a pair of those, actually. I have zip-tied horns to my headset. You know, we figure out. There's a market for headphone-compatible earpieces. There's actually a shop on Etsy that you send them the specs of your headset, and they will print horns that clip onto your headset. And they'll do them in the color you want. It's really cute. I'm sure there's a market.
Also, the colander for Roxy, Kay specifically selected one that accommodated the headphones.
Like when I did Uenya, like I had to get a mini top hat that was mini enough that I could wear it with a headset, and then I specifically bought this one because it fits perfectly with my headphones. Because that's the problem. I've had like someone I was playing a game with was playing like a cowgirl. I was like, I have a hat. I can't wear it with my headphones. Help! That sucks. Lurking Writer, thank you for subscribing 20 months. Yes, wear headphones when streaming and make your cosplay work with those, or skip the ears. The audience and producer will be grateful. Yeah, Pastafarian. I play a paladin of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Yes, may his noodly appendage be upon us. Ramen. I have broken David so many times with my Pastafarian BS. And we may have lost David. Oh, he's back.
I think I'm back. Ugh, gross.
So yes, we are nearing the end of our time. So yes, at the end of the day, when it comes to all of this, it's all about just professionalism. Again, as I've said to so many up and coming video game journalists, it never hurts to be the best dressed person in the room by this much, right? We had a dude when I worked at DeviantArt. I love this guy. He was great. He showed up to his first and second day at work in a full suit at DeviantArt. And he was known as Clark Kent.
Woof.
We all just
Woof.
went, Clark Kent. No. And he didn't do that after because he was the best dressed person in the room by too much. Remember professionalism. You know, again, none of what we're saying is about shaming your life, your situation, the space you have in which to stream. Not everyone can have this cool background. Honestly, most of this background is here for me because all of these things, most of the things in the background were given to me. And they all represent a memory or something that happened or something that helps me combat my imposter syndrome. Because I can be like, that was given to me by this person at PAX because, like, but do think about, you know, if your camera points into your room, no problem. But maybe push the dirty laundry pile out of the way. Mute your microphone if you share space with someone and they're having a conversation and you're not actively talking. Don't dig in your chip bag and crunch munch into a hot mic. Live or not, people don't like it. Pastafarian with imposter syndrome. Would that be an Oathbreaker paladin?
Listen, we don't know what's gonna happen. Things can happen.
Tell the imposter syndrome to talk to your imposter. Dang it, Rex was quicker. Yes. Well done, y'all. I love it. If requirements are put upon you make sure they are reasonable requirements and that you are reasonably accommodated. Needing to have a good microphone for an audio-only podcast, that is a reasonable requirement. And if you can't afford it, that sucks. Hopefully they can help. I have definitely had podcasts where people would loan equipment to help people. But that is a requirement to make an audio drama, right? That is what is required. However, if you're required to have a green screen and you don't have one, if you're required to stay within a space this big and you need to fidget, if you are required to cosplay and they are not compensating you for the costs of your cosplay, that is not a reasonable requirement.
And to be clear, if you're going to play with us, there is one unreasonable requirement. And that is, if you sit in front of your camera and you got something to eat, you're going to tell me what you're eating. I got to know. We're not going live until you confess what it is that you're eating. And yes, it is an unreasonable thing. Yes, I will still ask you.
And yeah, at the end of the day, it all comes down to professionalism. You know, if you are going to cosplay, if you are going to don't go all out. Don't spend, $600 on your wig if it's going to be for a Zoom call. Learn from me. Do a makeup test early so you don't end up in navy blue face paint. That is, the blue part is not really picked up by your camera. And it looks very bad for reasons that have nothing to do with it doesn't match your character. Double check if that white and gray makeup are actually going to be different on camera. I will not eat on camera, so I am. Now I know I will eat on camera, so I am not the centaur of attention. Rex eats and drinks nonstop on camera because Rex plays a halfling. It's great. Just eating the entire time. Just different things just keep appearing every 2 seconds. Yeah, confess your food sense. I'm British. Dang, there's no help for you. Star Trek Centaurs and Puns, making up for last week. Exactly.
Listen, I am approaching the point where I can start my entire Star Trek rewatch from original series all the way to present day. And Kay is not ready for how much of a fucking Of course I'm going to do Enterprise.
Okay.
I'm going to do all of them. Every episode of everything, including Section 31, which is a terrible one. And Kay is not prepared for how much of a menace I am going to be during this entire rewatch.
I don't think anyone in this chat is ready for that.
Yeah, no. Because I already have opinions and I'm going to have more.
Are you doing them in chronological order or are you doing them in timeline within the series order?
Order of release.
Okay.
So original series, Next Generation, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Pain.
So, and then again, as I said, one place I just applied to had just shy of 750 applicants. So if you do have something to bring, something additional outside of your performance chops, which your time and your performance chops are not nothing. That is a lot and should be respected. But if you are able to do things like do some graphics editing, do art, edit video, help with promotion and social copy or marketing, that's also a good thing to bring up if you are trying to land a spot in something that is highly competitive, because it shows your capabilities as well as shows that you are invested. Set aside 10 minutes in this show dedicated to Star Trek Rant of the Week, right? We should. But yes, that is what I have to say. David, any final thoughts before we wander away for the evening?
No.
Are you sure? Well,
pretty confident.
Here is someone who has an opinion, and that is that I should walk away from this and give him food. Be collaborative in the space, being built on being collaborative. Exactly. So with that, I think that is going to wrap up what we have. Thank you for hanging out with us. I do not have the video for our session last week with Herb is completed. I have to write copy. And I haven't done that. And as soon as I do, that will go up. We will be back next Tuesday, as always. Tomorrow, episode 8 of the Emergency Power Podcast releases. It's getting good. There's a spicy war going on, and all of the Pact Worlds is under assault, and we gotta try to get to the other end of the vast to fix that. Oh, thank you, Lurking Writer. You are always the highlight of our week as well. It's always a treat seeing y'all. David, who the heck is you and what the heck have we been doing here?
I am increasingly excited about my Star Trek rewatch because I guarantee you there are some bad wigs that I forgot about, and I'm going to see them in the ancient shows and in the new ones, and Kay gets to hear all about it. But this has and will be the Chaotic Wholesome Tuesday Table Talk Show, where we talk about TTRPG stuff every week. How to be a better GM, how to be a better player, how to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
And yeah, as always, be kind to yourself, be excellent to others, and we will see you all next Tuesday. Thanks, y'all. Bye.